Well, in my long journey through ecological activism, 35 years now, money has been the intervener propelling ecological destruction. The first movement I got involved in was Chipko, where women of my region, peasant women, came out to say, we'll hug the trees, you'll have to kill us before you kill the tree. Because these trees are our life, they are our mothers, they give us water, they give us soil, they give us fodder, they give us fuel, and deforestation is leading to disappearance of water, disappearance of energy, and ecological catastrophes like landslides. And why were the trees being cut? Very simply because cutting a tree makes money. Leaving a tree in place gives you stable ecosystems, gives you basic needs, gives you material welfare, avoids poverty, but cutting a tree leads to huge profits for the logging companies, and the countries count it as the growth of the gross domestic product. A live tree doesn't contribute to the GDP, a killed tree does. And that is the basis of why the more our economies grow, the more people suffer and the more the planet suffers. In the case of agriculture, I got involved in 1984 because of two terrible disasters in India. 1984 is also the name of a very interesting novel written by George Orwell. And 1984 was a very Orwellian year for us. In June of that year, one of the worst violence took place in our history in recent times. There had been extremism in Punjab. People think terrorism began with the Al-Qaeda. No, it began in Punjab. It began in Punjab because the so-called Green Revolution was supposed to bring prosperity and peace, and a Nobel Peace Prize was given for the Green Revolution. But what was the Green Revolution? The Green Revolution was nothing but bringing money-making into agriculture. Before the Green Revolution, agriculture was about care for the soil, providing nourishing food, secure livelihoods, a cultural identity in connection with the earth. Post-Green Revolution, agriculture was about corporations making money selling costly seeds and chemicals. It was about farmers getting into debt because they couldn't afford to spend that kind of money. Initial stages, they took to the gun, shot people, and eventually they were killed in return. 30,000 people were killed in that period of violence in Punjab. That is 6 times 9/11. And today, that violence continues. It's not through the gun. It's through drinking pesticide to end their lives. 200,000 farmers have committed suicide in India in the last decade alone as a money-driven agriculture. An agriculture which is designed not to protect the earth, not to protect the seed, not to give food to people, but is designed only to make money, has killed people. 1984, the other event that shook me up was Bhopal, a pesticide plant owned then by Union Carbide, now by Dow Chemicals, leaked in the middle of the night of 2nd of December and killed 3,000 people. Immediately, 30,000 people since then. I started to look at agriculture at that point. I said, why has agriculture become like war? And wasn't surprised to find that it had become like war because it started in war. And chemicals that were designed to make money in war were moved to agriculture as pesticides. Chemicals from fertilizer factories, which were originally explosive factories, were moved into farming and into producing of food. So no matter which way you look at it, the making of money has become the curse of farming and agriculture. It's destroyed our soils, it's destroyed our biodiversity, it's destroyed our water. There's a recent report out from NASA about how the groundwater of North India is gone, but NASA doesn't connect it to the prescriptions of the United States to put chemicals into farming, and those chemicals require intensive irrigation, and the irrigation comes out of mining groundwater. So it's at every point, this focus of money is a recipe for impoverishment. Small-scale peasants, which still constitute half of humanity, people forget that. Small-scale peasants have lived in an economy with either no money or marginal money. They have lived in an economy where They grew the food they need. They could sell part of it at the local marketplace, very often through barter. And if money had even entered, it was not driving the design of agriculture. But once the chemicals entered agriculture through the Green Revolution, and once the new seeds entered agriculture, initially through so-called high-yielding varieties, which were merely high-response varieties, they did well as long as there was lots of water, lots of chemicals, but totally failed. For example, in this year in India, when we have a horrible drought, the Green Revolution fields are empty, the native crops are flourishing. More recently, corporations like Monsanto have tried to bring in genetically engineered seed, and they began with genetically engineered cotton. Now, the acceleration of farmer suicides in India is in the areas where farmers have been made dependent on the genetically engineered cotton. How does it work? The company comes in, encourages farmers to give up their own seeds. It's called seed replacement. It's like you trade in your old car to buy a new car. You go to a place where you put in your second-hand stuff and get something else in return. That's the logic that is created. Seed, which should never stop being saved, is now treated as an exchangeable commodity. Videos are shown with gods and goddesses and the epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and Guru Nanak. All our 300 million divinities are mobilized to be salesmen for Monsanto, to say, you're going to be a millionaire. Here's a miracle seed. This is going to deliver you out of poverty. And since the farmers have never known the epics to cheat them, they haven't known Lord Ram to cheat them, they believe in this. They don't see a corporation called Monsanto. In fact, Monsanto's name is never on the label because Monsanto sells its seeds through licensing arrangements with local companies. So Monsanto is an invisible giant, bringing this promise of farmers becoming a millionaire, forcing them to give up their seeds. And before you know it, in one season, farmers have lost their local seeds. They now only have genetically engineered seed, which they must buy every year. The price of seed was 0 if it was farm-safe seed. It was 7 rupees a kilo if it was bought before the GM seed. The GM seed price shot it all up to 1,700 rupees a kilo, from 7 to 1,700. These seeds are supposed to control pests, but they fail to control the pest called the bollworm. New pests get created. Our studies show 13-fold increase in pesticide use in the genetically engineered cotton areas. That means high cost for pesticides, high cost of seeds, high cost of seed every year. The seeds are hybrid genetically engineered seed, they need irrigation. Farmers spend more money trying to drill tube wells in areas that doesn't have reliable water supply. Added up, in 2 years' time, the farmers have 200,000, 300,000 rupees debt. And meantime, the global trading system, which is also designed by the global corporations, dumps subsidized cotton on countries like India or Africa. $4 billion of subsidies is given in the United States to a handful of giant farms. And that brings the price of cotton down. So you've got a cost of production shooting up, and you've got the price of your produce dropping down. That's a negative economy, which totally crushes the farmer. And since this is happening in areas where farmers never knew deep poverty, they were actually prosperous farmers. Cotton-growing farmers were some of the most prosperous farmers of India. They're the ones who could send their children to engineering school and medical school. They are in such a state of shock. The day their land is being appropriated, that's the day they drink pesticide and end their lives. It's usually the man, because it's the man who was seduced into believing this is going to be the next step to prosperity. And the wife is informed only after the dead body of the husband is found. So we have 200,000 farm suicides, 200,000 farm widows. And I've done public hearings with these widows. But all of this is triggered by Monsanto wanting to make super profits out of the seed business, a company that 20 years ago did not exist in seed. Today is the biggest company in seed. And money is bringing its power, but money is bringing the death to the small peasants of India.